KCP candidate dies after falling from a flagpost in Kiambu County. Chebisa's boys march to Eldoret at night over a disappointing concert. Nakuru Girls High School closed indefinitely after students destroyed property. Litein Boys High School closed indefinitely after students riot over a football match. Tulwet Boys High School torch a building as school fires continue. Uproar over Imali Sunshine Academy after a grade 9 student sodomizes a grade 3 pupil. Why is there an uprising in discipline and intolerance amongst the student and teachers fraternity? This and many other topics that we are going to debunk today. Welcome to Voices Unfiltered. My name is Wanjiro Samuels. I have seen on social media many people reacting to the various fires happening in our country. They are reacting of how they were caned, how they were beaten, how they did various crazy punishments and they never died. It is true you never died physically, but part of you died. If you can introspectively look, you'll find that you're dealing with and living with so many traumas. And they resulted from how you were treated as a child and you going through boarding schools or generally schools in Kenya. And that is why corporal punishment was banned. Under the Children's Act, corporal punishment is a no-no. In fact, it is illegal. But over the years, I have heard, including the former minister, the late Professor Magoha, saying how they would want to introduce corporal punishment. I have heard the women rep of Murang'a talking about reintroducing corporal punishment in our schools. Have you asked yourself, first and foremost, why do you want corporal punishment introduced? And further to that question, why is indisciplined and why you want all these things happening, why you want them reintroduced? Because misbehavior does not happen in a vacuum. Like literally, nothing happens in a vacuum. There are windows of opportunity available to parents to discipline their children. When you miss out on that, you're going to forward indisciplined children into boarding schools. Teaching was a calling, just like medicine was. But over the years, we have seen it is no longer merit. There's a lot of nepotism when it comes to hiring of teachers. There's a lot of buying positions. Teachers, the grade for really qualifying to be a teacher has been watered down, more like the police. So it's like the academic failures in society who are going into these professions. What do you expect? People are not fools. Our teachers know. A few of them are really good, but many of them know. They've just gone in there because that's their last resort towards earning the bag. And then now, the elephant in the room. Our government is really underpaying our teachers. Our teachers are seriously undermotivated, seriously underpaid, overly worked, and some are even experiencing delayed salaries. The workload is a lot, and the pay is very little. Now, think about it. You've taken your child to this boarding school. You probably drove into that compound. Your child probably wears fine fabric of the uniform. They never collected the ones in schools. Or they have pocket money enough to last them throughout the term. But these teachers, they have barely enough to put a meal on their table. What do you expect of a hungry teacher? They say a hungry man is an angry man. Where are they going to vent their frustrations out to? Whom are they going to vent to? Because if their employer is not listening, if the government is not listening, who are they going to throw it out all on of? It's their students. Now, these students are students of the 21st century. They are not what we used to be. Back then, we used to be told you're supposed to be seen and not heard. Today, it's different. These children, we are raising them as millennial parents. We are raising them and telling them, speak up for yourself. Be respectful. But when they realize that speaking up for themselves, they are being profiled in these institutions, what do they resort to? They become hardened. And when they become hardened, in their minds, they are thinking, I got nothing to lose. My parents at home are telling me, vumilia. My teachers at school, I'm supposed to be seen and not heard. But this is the pressing issue deep inside of me, and I have nobody to tell. I mean, it's only time, because that's a ticking time bomb. I think it is important that the government, the Ministry of Education, steps in and does the needful. We need increased classrooms. We need capitation increased. We need that money released on time. I mean, makes me wonder. I saw on social media a video going about, I think, a teacher. And somebody was recording a video explaining how Lytton Boys High School, after touching down their school, they went to the bazaar's office, burst the safe, and collected over 1 million shillings. And this guy was here reading envelopes. This was for this. Let me ask a question. Every school has a bank account. With 3 weeks left to schools closing and exams beginning, why was a bazaar keeping 1 million shillings in the bazaar's office? Why? Why wasn't this money in the bank? And because students do not go to the bazaar's office. In fact, they don't enter inside the office. They communicate with the bazaar through a window. At least that is what is in most schools. I don't know how the setup in Lytton Boys is. But explain to me how these boys knew there was money in the safe. Another question that I need to ask ourselves is, why did these boys not just carry the money in the envelope, but they opened the envelope, collected the money, and left the envelope behind? I mean, do not believe everything you see on news. That investigation should go further than the students. I'm not saying the bazaar of Lytton High School is a thief. But I would want to understand why he was keeping that money in school 3 weeks to school closing. Why he was keeping that huge amount of money in this age of Lipa na M-Pesa, till numbers. I mean, mobile payment, in this age of mobile payment. And I'm sure the school has a phone, a mobile number. Why are people not being paid on their tills? Why are they being given cash? Or is it an issue of evading taxes? I don't know. There's a lot of questions to ask ourselves. And this entire burden falls on the parents. Because when these boys resume school, because apparently transferring has been banned, so you go back to your school. I understand there was a figure of like, I think 135,000 shillings or 148 that every parent is supposed to pay when the students are going back to school. Could it have been a plot? Could it have been? I'm just saying. I mean, we've learned when every item is going through the news, you don't believe everything you see on the news. I mean, back in the days, people would strike from schools and just jump fences and go home. But strike and go to the bazaar's office to steal? And then another question that hits my mind is, In a boarding school, generally there are teachers, to include maybe the principal, who live in the school. How is it that on this particular night, nobody came out, but the students had time to go to the bazaar's office still and then torch it down as well? Come on now. I mean, think about it. I beg to differ, but that is my thought. If investigation has to be done, it has to be thorough. We have to find out what this person is not telling. Don't just throw burdens on parents and expect parents to foot and pay up. I think in a nutshell, what we need to find out is what is really causing the unrest in our school institutions. I understand preps go up to maybe 10 p.m. in most boarding schools. They're supposed to be up early by 4:30 in the morning. There are not enough breaks in the day, probably a maximum of 40 minutes at any given time. And you expect these people to just be easy. I mean, look at even our parliamentarians. We hire them we give them a job to be our members of parliament, but they have sitting allowances, travel allowances, per diems. I'm not comparing our students to our parliamentarians, but I'm saying if it's about entertainment, why not give them? One of the news headlines was about this school who walked to Eldoret town in the night because they had a disappointing concert. Now, according to this news article, this student had been asked to contribute each 250 shillings for entertainment. Now, think about the situation we are putting these students. 250 shillings each. I do not know the population of Chebisa's boys, but I know that was probably a substantial amount of money. And the reason for their unrest is that they said they felt that there was tribalism because the school then brought in a local musician or a local artist to perform in the school. Now, I would imagine Chebisa's high school, though, in this place, doesn't have only students from one tribal region. By virtue of us posting students to whatever direction, as long as they fit in a school, we have students from different other tribal backgrounds. So bringing in, for example, quote unquote, a Nandi artist was prejudice on maybe the Luya, the Kikuyu, the Luos, the Giriamas population of that school, because they wouldn't understand what the artist is saying. And the students were right. And for them to have that kind of an unrest, I mean, the school should have thought beforehand before doing this. Or probably they just raised money with the students to give them a robe, something raw, and the students were not taking it. I mean, let's think about it. But then, to summarize all this, it is the sole responsibility of parents to discipline and raise up their children to grow up to be disciplined people. Because the truth of the matter is this: an indisciplined child grows up to be an indisciplined adult, and many indisciplined adults become an uncontrollable, indisciplined society, and an indisciplined society will eventually just come down to an indisciplined, failed nation. So what is the role of the parent towards the child? There is a social role where a parent is supposed to show love. But before you show love, you have to love yourself first. They say, out of the abundance of the heart, you cannot give what you do not have and what or who you are not. When you love yourself first, your child will be able to emulate you. And you can be able to now teach your child how to love themselves. Parents, you need to find time. Spend time with your children. Crack jokes. Play games. Be easy with one another. so that these children can also be at ease with you, and they will be able to be vulnerable and share with you all the challenges they go through as they grow up. Because if you do not do that, they go to their peers seeking parental love. And because their peers cannot offer them parental love, they go to the extremes. And that is where indiscipline stems from. Spend time with your children. Get to know your children. It is sad that a parent will not be able to look at their child and know that they are okay or not. And that is why you hear stories of somebody has, say, committed or unalived themselves, and the parent is shocked, and they say things like, I honestly did not know. I was with him or her this morning having breakfast, and I didn't see it. You did not see it because you don't know who your child is. You don't know who your child is enough that if your teacher sends your child home and tells you that your child did this and that, you quickly step up to defend your child. Yet, the teacher has collected evidence enough to show you your child in the act. But you will still defend them tooth and nail because you don't know who your child is. Crazy, right? The other role of a parent is to provide educational needs. Provide books, uniform, shoes, pocket money. Because if you fail to do that, there are so-called teacher predators and other predators within society will come for your child. So no matter what, train your child to live within their means while you provide what is available to you for them. Girls will be bought off by their male teachers. They will exchange sex for sanitary pads. And when that is unbecoming, when it becomes too much, they will revolt. Because a predator, once they have you under them, they abuse you. The moment you become a little empowered and want to revolt or want to refuse, that is when they start caning you unnecessarily, especially in schools. Now, if I'm an empowered girl, and maybe I've come to the realization that I do not need this anymore. You ask yourself why schools are being banned. Maybe you have an answer right there. It could be out of necessity. So it's a predator thing going on. So parents, put on your big girl pants, and men, put on your male pants on and guide your children well. Because if you don't do that, somebody else will try. And they will try modeling them in the ways that you wouldn't want. So just the same way that indiscipline creeps into the schools, it creeps in the home. Your dissatisfaction about your child while at home will be the same dissatisfaction and maybe even more at school. So before you send your children out to these schools, have you molded them enough to be able to survive? Have you molded them enough to be disciplined, to be respectful of the school leadership? Indiscipline begins in the home because you are the primary teacher before the teacher at school. The role of teachers is as robust and more so than parents because our learners spend more time with their teachers than they do with their parents. And this is true because a teacher is a professional. They have the skills and knowledge and a competence to remodel learners and discipline them also more than the parents do. It is important to remember the words of Watson, 1927 p. 233. He says, "Give me the baby and I'll make it climb and use its hand in construction of buildings of stone or wood. I'll make it a thief, a gunman, or a dope friend, the possibilities of shaping it to any direction are almost endless. Men are built, not born. A corrupt and incompetent teacher who cannot dispense his role or her role properly to the learners is not only a danger to himself, but to an entire generation. Many teachers do not understand their roles towards their learners. A great number of them do not care to go to the classroom, but settle to issue arbitrary scores to their learners. Some of them issue notes for the students to copy while they sit around in their staff rooms, chit-chatting with their fellow teachers. In conclusion, child discipline in the 21st century will only be realized if all stakeholders take up their roles and responsibilities towards the learners. These roles must be played out effectively with commitment, sacrifice, and dedication. In Kenya, we only leave out some courses for people who are quote-unquote academic failures. So you'd find that the minimum grade for somebody to join a teacher's training college is maybe capped at a C or even a D+. What does that communicate to the learners? That only failures would go there. Because on the contrary, you have the A's and the B+ going to engineers, medicine, pilots, lawyers, name it. But the people who actually build these professionals is left to academic failures. Teacher recruitment should be thorough and based on merit. There are people who do not even qualify to be teachers, but are teachers today. There are those who just want to make some money, bag the bag, and they are teachers today. There are those who run to these professions because it is their only choice available. That should not be the case. Growing up, teaching was supposed to be a calling, more like medicine is. But today, it is everybody or anyone who is just looking for an easy way in to a profession or where to make money or get a pension. The school management or the Ministry of Education, whoever is responsible, should be able to reward teachers that do their job well. Teachers who are disciplined, teachers who are good role models, teachers who interact with their learners, like the surrogate parents that I mentioned, should be rewarded and rewarded accordingly. Another thing to ensure that we do not have continuous unrests in institutions, that students should be allowed to anonymously rate their teachers, and that those comments should be taken seriously by the school managements or the Ministry of Education or whichever body is in charge. And in this case, the Teacher Service Commission, because they are the ones who hire teachers and post them to these schools. So you should allow the learners to be able to anonymously give feedback on who their teachers are, their behavior, how they are teaching in class, and generally just how their teachers are to them, because they are the learners. Now, this one will hurt a lot of people, but I welcome the backlash. I welcome the comments, but I'm going to say this. Parenting should be left to people who are ready to become parents. If you're not ready to become a parent and take up the full role of parenting, do not have children, please. Because when you have children and you're not ready to become a parent, you fail to parent the children. And then all these things come up, and the first failure on the job is the parent. Now, to the government, we all know that a hungry man is an angry man. There is no way you're going to delay salaries of these teachers. There is no way you're going to fail to send your capitations to these schools, to provide general provisions, food, and all that. And you expect that there's not going to be unrest in these schools. Our schools are congested. The infrastructure has ballooned. It is no longer fitting. Literally, the skirt is bursting at its seam. The schools that we were in back in the day are the same schools that are today, with no increased infrastructure, no increased classrooms, yet 100% transition to high school. What do you expect? Back in the day, we would have students, at least 40 students in a class, and with a maximum of 4 streams. Today, we are going up to 8 streams or even 10 streams per class, and a capacity of up to 60, and the same infrastructure, the same classrooms, the same dormitory, the same everything. So there's a lot of congestion in our schools. I think it is important that the government, the Ministry of Education, steps in and does the needful. We need increased classrooms. We need capitation increased. We need that money released on time. To summarize all this, I would like to welcome your comments, your contributions, and other stories that you have heard in your local community or you have experienced of the things that we have talked about today. Engage us in the comment section and let us root out the real causes of student unrest in our institutions. And a big thank you to my producer, Emmanuel Dope, and Easy Concept Media for putting this all together, because it takes a team. God bless you. See you in the next one.